We've got some interesting games to look at this month, so let's get started with Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider is probably one of those series I should have played by now just for gamer cred, but I never really got around to it. I don't really know much about it besides apparently you fight a dinosaur or something. I've encountered plenty of stuff in gaming culture though that involves Lara Croft. Now right off the bat I've got a bit of a problem because I can't actually explain what kind of game this is supposed to be. It starts off looking like some sort of action survival game, but there aren't really any real survival elements to it. You don't need to eat, sleep, or find shelter. Now you could be forgiven for thinking maybe it's about raiding tombs, but that's more of an optional side objective. Really from what I can tell, Tomb Raider takes cues from Uncharted, which is another series I haven't really gotten around to playing. You got lots of cinematic bits and all sorts of high-flying jumps and basically a bunch of adventure-y stuff. In terms of story, you got me. It starts off looking like a pretty bog-standard survival thing, but then there's all sorts of weird like sci-fi and mystical elements that are kind of hinted at, and I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be getting out of this. Really what the game sets out to do is send you on a fun, if a bit mindless adventure, but sometimes it's a bit too mindless. So many of the exciting looking cinematic bits have pretty much no control given to you at all. A lot of times it's just holding forward to win, and sometimes you are forced to interact, and they do a terrible job of telling you when these moments are coming, which can lead to some unexpected deaths. Luckily there's a very forgiving checkpoint system, so these aren't too much of a pain. However, these moments are a big contributing factor to me not knowing what this game is trying to be. Sometimes you'll have a gritty, realistic moment where everything's slow and arduous like it would be in real life. And sometimes Lara will be climbing up a wall lightning fast like some sort of spider. It's really just a weird clash of standard video game elements and an attempt to be more realistic and gritty. Lara has all sorts of brutal injuries and deaths she can encounter, and yet you can also do really weird stuff like teleport to any campsite you've ever been to. It just leads to some tonal inconsistencies. Now in terms of the actual gameplay, it all works pretty well. The incredibly contrived hunter vision makes it so that you can always find where you're supposed to go to next. Except in the unnecessarily open areas where you might end up not being able to see the yellow glow that it points out for you. The game is also full to the brim with collectibles. I was actually surprised by just how much stuff per area there was. You don't seem to gain much from actually finding anything though, besides some nice flavor text I suppose. Finding things does give you EXP though, which gives you the points you need to upgrade Lara's various abilities such as climbing, bow hunting, gun shooting, fighting, all that kind of stuff. And it's actually kind of weird to me just how combat focused this game is. Maybe this changes on higher difficulties, but I thought there would be a lot less ammo and that sort of thing. Instead I was able to just blow through most areas unless they arbitrarily decided that getting caught would cause me to instantly die because I froze in place just long enough to get all of these arrows sucked into me. On the topic of death, there's a lot of ways for Lara to die, and I find it kinda creepy how that's kind of become a selling point of this game. Like this month's PlayStation Plus trailer uses some of its brief time to describe the game to talk about the brutal ways that Lara can die in this game. Another way this game works to segregate its gameplay and story is by presenting Lara as a bit of a greenhorn. They try and act like she's very out of her element and terrified of all these adventuring things she does, but then she's able to pull them off not only very easily but expertly as well. If she's actually this skilled, why would she be so terrified of all of these things? But even then, the supposed terror never actually factors into the gameplay. Now this game does feature quite a few colorful characters, but you will spend most of the time with just two characters on screen, Lara and her ponytail. Seriously, the way this thing's flailing around, it's like it's trying to steal the show every time it's in the scene. Graphically, the people look great. This is from the company that brought us Final Fantasy XIII after all, but the environments are very indistinct. They blend together so much. But in terms of actual graphical power, they're amazing. Effects look great, and many of the environments have elaborate destruction sequences to experience. In terms of Lara herself, can I just say I really love her accent? I feel like not enough women are represented with an accent like that. The music is about what you'd expect. Orchestral music mixed with some tribal drums. It tends to lean on ambient swells as opposed to noticeable melodies, which suits the game but not so much my tastes. The game often forgoes music entirely in favor of environmental noises anyways. Overall, Tomb Raider is a pretty fun experience, but it's a fun experience that feels like it's cobbled together from fun experiences from other games out there. However, if the end result's good, and it is, then fine by me. Hey, thanks for watching. As usual, if you want more videos like this, you can check out last week's review, Remember Me. And you can tune in next week for Thomas Was Alone. And hey, if you like this video, subscribe to Slam Network Gaming. It really helps him out.